Have you ever considered that the common farm chicken might be experiencing a level of cosmic ecstasy so profound that it would cause the human mind to shatter into 1,000 jagged pieces of envy? We walk past them in the mud or see them in sterile crates and assume their silence is a void, a lack of thought. But what if that silence is actually the roar of a quantum engine calculating the geometry of pure joy? Why do we insist on measuring the universe by our own narrow, gray standards of happiness, when a creature with a brain the size of a grape might be tapping into the very fabric of reality to sustain a state of perpetual grace? If happiness is a destination for us, a fleeting coffee buzz, or a promotion that leaves us hollow by Tuesday, for the chicken, it is a recursive fractal, an infinite loop where every single peck at a grain of corn mirrors the birth of a galaxy. Have you ever looked into the eye of a hen and realized it isn't looking at you, but through you, into a dimension where time doesn't exist and only the now of a dust bath matters? This is not mere speculation. It is the inevitable conclusion of a new science that merges the mathematics of Benoit Mandelbrot with the brutal reality of the coop. We think of happiness as a binary, a light switch that is either on or off. But the chicken operates on a scale of infinite zoom, where every microsecond of contentment fractals outward into a macro bliss we cannot comprehend. What if their 200 million neurons aren't just for finding worms, but for processing a self-similar cascade of dopamine that makes a single ripple in a puddle feel like a tidal wave of love? We feel boredom because our joy has no texture, but the chicken psyche is a Mandelbrot set of effective topology, where satisfaction at one scale predicts a deeper hunger at the next, keeping them in a state of eternal, vibrant engagement. Can you imagine a life where you never arrive, because the journey itself is spinning into smaller and smaller patterns of perfection? And yet, we cage them, believing we are merely confining a body. But what if our very gaze is a weapon of physics? Drawing from the refined spectroscopy of avian proteins, we are beginning to see that chicken consciousness might emerge from entangled tubulins in their brain, collapsing wave functions like a biological computer. Is it possible that a chicken in an unobserved thicket is in a state of superposition, existing in every possible state of happiness at once until a human observer forces that reality to collapse? Why does a bird's heart rate spike when we look at it? Is it fear of a predator? Or is it the tragic physical collapse of a cluck cloud of shared, non-local joy that only exists when the panopticon of human industry is turned away? We are decoherence machines, walking through the world breaking the magic of other beings simply by measuring them. What would happen if you blindfolded a chicken in a hedgerow? Data suggests their serotonin levels don't just rise, they stabilize into a permanent state of affiliative preening, because they have finally escaped the prison of being seen. Does this mean our modern world, with its cameras and constant social metrics, has turned us into battery chickens, incapable of the quantum leisure that these birds master in the shadows? If we treat the psyche as a gas of motivational particles, we see that a lone chicken doesn't just get sad. It undergoes a phase transition, turning from a vibrant flock plasma into a frozen, solid-state void of dread. Why is the number 7 so magical in a flock? Beyond that threshold, joy percolates like water through coffee grounds, igniting emergent waves of contentment that no single bird could ever manufacture on its own. Are we any different? We peck at our screens in isolation, wondering why the phantom plasma of social media doesn't warm us, while the chicken knows that without the density of the group, the soul vitrifies into a glassy, immobile misery. But let us go deeper into the dark heart of this joy. What if flock happiness is actually a biological prion, a happy conformation that folds from one beak to the next like a contagious, beautiful disease? If a single joy prion bird is introduced to a pen, the state of bliss spreads 80% faster than any virus, proving that happiness is not an individual achievement but a mimetic contagion. Why then do we debeak and isolate? Perhaps because an infectious, overwhelming bliss in our livestock would disrupt the mechanical efficiency of our supply chains. We kill the prion to keep the machine running. But the chicken fights back by harvesting entropy itself. While we seek order and predictability, the chicken thrives on chaos pecking, sampling millions of microstates in the soil to pump negative entropy into its system. They don't want a plan. They want the noise of the universe. Have you ever felt the urge to just dive into disorder to feel alive? The chicken does it 1,000,000 times an hour, using its beak as a probe to minimize predictive error and find the slack variance that we call play. This is why a caged bird chews the bars. It is starving for the disorder that fuels its spirit. Even their very DNA seems to vibrate with this existential singularity. Under the right conditions, a chicken's telomeres, the caps on their chromosomes, don't just wear down. They are buffered by a surge of telomerase during play that suggests they are warping their own perception of time. Does a happy chicken live 5 years, or does it live 1,000 years compressed into a single afternoon of sunlight? As their telomeres sing, they escape the linear suffering of the clock and enter an eternal peck equilibrium where the past and future are swallowed by the bliss of the now point. We look at them and see a meal, but if we looked closer, we would see a prototype for a scalable sentience that we have lost. The chicken isn't just an animal. It is a mirror reflecting our own recursive misery back at us, asking why we choose the cage when the fractal of the universe is waiting to be pecked. Can you hear the cluck in the distance? It isn't a sound. It's a call to abandon the linear and embrace the infinite loop of the mood.